Then I guess, seeing a movie with a crowd is kind of the way to do it, isn't it? I think like this one particularly has like sort of that kind of crowd-pleasing quality to it. And like, have you had a chance to see it with an audience yet, or is this going to be your first opportunity?
I've seen it, not with the crowd though.
Yeah. So I guess kind of nice to see it in like its proper element. I guess hopefully something to look forward to.
I think all films should be seen in the cinema with an audience. I think solitary films by yourself in your sitting room it's another experience. I think films are made to be in movie houses.
I guess kind of to go like right back to the kind of very beginning of the whole process of the thing. Like, what was it for the both of you that kind of appealed to you about this in the first place? What made you want to go on board? Obviously, you did the audiobook as well, so kind of Harold's been with you for a long old while, I suppose. But just
yes, I mean that was the audiobook was. Obviously my introduction, and then I read it, do the audiobook, you read it 3 times at least, so I was so familiar with the idea of Harold that when it came through as a script it was very easy. I felt I knew him to a degree and his difficulties.
And was it a kind of similar thing for you? Was there sort of
I hadn't read the book, and I didn't read the book till we'd started filming, because I'm always slightly disappointed when you've read the script, and because then you read the book and there's lots of bits that have been left out, because of course, in a book you can take 3 days to read it, whereas in a film you've got an hour and a half, so it's inevitable that. But funnily enough, Rachel gave me a short story about Maureen where she met Harold, and she wrote a group of short stories, one of which was about how they met and how they met at a dance. And that was very revealing about their characters, because he was all over the place as a young man and rather dishevelled, and she had very much stricter parents, so she was very together. And they sort of stayed like that, really. And that's what she found in him early on, before the film starts. She found so attractive because he came from another world, and it was the complete antithesis to what she was used to. So of course, so I did read those things, and then of course the script, which informs you as to whether you want to do it or not, because we've only got the script.
And I guess as you said, there is kind of only so much, I suppose, you can get into a script, and having the novel and everything else kind of to, I guess, flesh out the characters that much more must be really useful for you kind of to figure out where you're coming from with the character. I
think in a good script, in which this is a really good script, it's so much of what you're talking about is implicit, and that's what a good script is. I mean, each line is telling in one way or another, and once you know the whole story and you relate back into each, the pertinent lines come through, and I didn't feel a need to go back to the book at all, because it's all on the page in the script. In this case, not always the case, but
I thought the actual words they say, there's not an awful lot for not an awful lot of dialogue. There's a great deal of feelings, of looks and so on, and I think Rachel knew the situation and those two people and the different people who interact with them so well that she could scale back the words and let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, very much.
Because there's no point in having the words and you see it at the same time. It's overkill. What you have to do in the theatre, you don't have to do in film.
I mean, it's like sort of very, very like brittle relationship between the two characters, I guess. So kind of, as you say, having them talk too much would kind of spoil that effect to a degree, I suppose.
Yeah. So. Indeed.
And was that an interesting thing for the two of you to play with, kind of figure out how you were going to make that relationship work on screen? Because it is quite fraught, quite difficult, isn't it?
It's not really. It's on the as you say, it's on the page, and then it's not really our decision as how to. I mean, we make it.
We interpret what's there.
And we've got the relationship going in the acting anyway. We've got the same approach to the acting. We know what the shared script is, and then it's up to the director to choose how she wants to guide it, but I mean, it's all sort of organic, really. It doesn't have to be thought about or discussed particularly.
No. I think you can overthink things too and over-discuss them. And if it's very clear and you start to play it and you're put into the situation, whether it's having breakfast or sitting opposite one another in a cafe or many other situations that Harold found himself in, it plays itself. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Sure.
If you're trying too hard, you know the scene isn't working.
Mm.